Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Josh Chris podcast. Today, I've got an amazing guest with me here, Dr. Elora, and she's a big time chief storyteller. She helps CEOs and founders, and today we are going to be uncovering lots of beautiful insights, from her. Yeah, I'm excited to have you on here. How are you today?
Very well, thank you, Josh. I'm excited. Like I'm practically shaking. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, pleasure's all mine. Pleasure's all
Thank
mine.
you. Thank you.
All right, so do you want to tell us about your journey? I'd love to learn about what sparked, that interests, your passion for
Mm-hmm,
becoming a storyteller, a chief
mm-hmm,
storyteller.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. Basically, I love telling stories. I'll like every time people ask me questions, most times I like to start my response with a story. So I'll just share one.
All right.
So I was 6 years old. My grandfather was brought up by my grandparents. He traveled to the UK for vacation. And of course, as a child, you'd be expecting when your parent comes back, they're going to buy you a box of chocolates.
Oh yeah.
I was expecting a pink baby doll with pink hair, and a pink comb. And, I'd be doing all those girly stuff. And
Yeah.
my grandfather comes back. And while sharing gifts for everyone, I got the biggest Longman dictionary I've ever seen in my life. I mean,
Oh
for that
yeah.
age. Yeah, he gave me very big, fat Longman dictionary
Oh
and bought
well.
me a Frederick Forsyth book. And
Okay.
if you know Frederick Forsyth, the prints are extremely tiny prints,
Oh
voluminous
yeah.
books.
Yeah.
And he gives me a 40 leaves exercise book and a pen and says, Ishoma, so from every chapter of this book, you're going to give me 40 to 50 new words and get their meanings from the dictionary. Like I'm going to have to read it, get out the 40 words, write down the meaning. Like it's more or less like as I was already writing Jump and Wayek at 6 year old.
Oh yeah.
And I have to be remitting that. So fortunately, or because I used to think it was unfortunate, but fortunately, I was forced to start reading the books because I also needed to understand the meaning behind those words. So it wasn't just about getting the dictionary meaning, it was about understanding the words. And that was how my fascination with stories started. My grandfather happened to also be a very good storyteller. So for those of us that grew during the time or were born during the time of Tales by Moonlight, that's like a really old school folklore then,
Oh yeah.
where they gather kids, and start telling them
Yeah.
stories. My grandfather
That's
used to
right.
do that for me, and this sparked my passion for storytelling. I always thought in my mind, I'd like to tell my children stories like this. I'd like to tell, you know.
Yeah.
But because I ended up becoming a voracious reader, I had so much vocabularies in me, and I had so much interest. I mean, I started reading crime novels, scientific fiction, thrillers, just any kind, newspapers, anything. I was
Oh
just
yeah.
reading everything and sponging up all the information.
Oh yeah.
I now started writing my own books. I've currently written about 10 books.
Wow.
I'm writing two more. I thought I'd finish them by
Congratulations.
the end of this year. Thank you. But that'll be next year. So,
You're welcome.
and later as a business consultant, and also how stories could transform brands. I became obsessed with helping entrepreneurs leverage storytelling, to connect with their audience. Thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's an amazing story there, and you've
Yeah,
accomplished so much. I've checked out your LinkedIn. I do
thank
want
you.
to learn about some memorable moments, or experiences that actually stand out for you in your career.
Okay. So have been well in the corporate space for January next year will make it about 22 years. I started my career in the banking financial institution for about 18 years before I moved to asset management. In between that, I've had stints in human resource. Um, I'm also how do I put this now? I'm a trained psychologist as well as educationist. So I would say over time I've had to work with a large amount of people. I'm talking about coaches, senior executives, mid-level executives, starters in the corporate ladder, founders. And one particular moment, I would say there's several, but I would say just pick one, was working with a struggling startup founder. Her name is Fisayo. But she's in I think she's in Canada now. Yes, so she had a fantastic product, but was struggling to articulate its value. I mean, personally, I loved what she had to sell. I could easily resonate with it, but I can't be the only one buying her products. Yeah, I won't be the only client buying. I mean, so how many of her products can I possibly buy to make her rich? And she's a science oriented person, and I had to teach her. I said, look, babe, you are too focused on the features of these products. You are not communicating the results your product can give your clients. Now, she's not so much of a talker. She's what they call an introvert. So I had to take her through a process and teach her the technicalities and techniques of storytelling. Now, not telling us everything about your personal life. We don't really need to know that. It's more of in a professional setting, why you crafted the products, the benefits, not the features of the products. And I created it into a compelling narrative that resonated with her target audience. What I mean target audience, I mean the exact people that need that product. So it's more or less like being able to hit the pain points of that target audience and merging the solution with the pain points together. And after doing that, I mean, it took us a few weeks because first she had to learn it was a mind shift thing for her. She had to learn how to tell stories. She had to learn pitching. So imagine convincing someone that tells you, Ishama, I don't know how to tell stories. She doesn't want to talk. She doesn't want to write. But I had to tell her, see, you are not the only person selling this product, right? There has to be a reason why people are going to come to you first before others. And when we sorted all that out, her skills skyrocketed. And apart from that, apart from the financial aspect, she gained a lot of massive confidence. And moments like this are so uplifting for me. They remind me why I love what I do. Yeah, that's it.
Such an inspiring story. You've got a lot of stories, and it just keeps getting greater and greater. Awesome. So you're a great mentor as well. I mean, of course. So I was gonna ask you what you loved most about mentoring, but I think you kind of like a little bit you talked about that. Ch- Would you want to add anything to
Mm.
that?
Yes, I don't mind.
Yeah.
I think I started mentoring from a really, really early age. I think I would just say, not to be religious, I'll just say that God has really positioned me such that I kind of grew, I mean, mentally now, faster than my age. I've always, right from when I was a teenager, instinctively people just look up to me to Ishama, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Because they always say, oh, you make sense, because I like to strategize and think through things. And the thing with mentoring is that it has allowed me to pay it forward. So basically, what I mean by that is my 22-year journey. I do not want people to have to go through that much length of time. Not everybody has that level of resilience to walk a path. 22 years is a pretty long time, to get to where I am. So I would prefer to pay forward such that I help entrepreneurs. I would love to witness their aha moment, when they grasp the power of storytelling, when they understand business strategy, how to be authentic, vulnerable, and to be very intentional about their future, and their talents or whatever skills they have. So mentoring also helps me refine my own craft. It's like as a teacher, because I am a teacher as well. The more you teach, right, the better you as a teacher become, because one, you're forced to research, you're forced to get better, you're forced to understand what the current trend as regarding, several areas.
Oh yeah.
Things evolve over time.
Absolutely.
So you just remind me of one of my mentees, Joshua, who pushed me to develop a storytelling framework for tech founders.
Oh
I
wow.
mean, I'm not so I was like tech. No, I'm used to writers. I'm used to artistic women founders and all those kind of stuff like
Yeah.
tech. How does tech and storytelling, jive? And when I was able to start, I mean, I'm talking about teaching web developers, people that handle cryptocurrencies, all these things about storytelling. And this collaboration has really enhanced my own skills and resources. It's giving me a larger scope to work with. So
Oh yeah.
mentoring is the way to go. Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. I just love it. You did say something. You've got to be intentional. That part got me. And absolutely everything you said as well. Loved it. Yeah. So let's talk about, one important lesson, you've learned that you wish you could share with every startup founder.
Hmm. One. Okay. So many, but
Oh
I'll
yeah.
pick I'll pick being able to be vulnerable. I find that a lot of people um want to always give off that impression that if it's not perfect or if it's not at a certain level, I don't want to get into it. I personally struggled with perfectionism. I believed in nobody can do it as good as I can. I have to do it myself. And if it's not XYZ, I don't want to get into it. You understand? So it's like saying when you want to let me use real estate for an example. It's like saying, oh, till I have 20 million naira before I buy myself a plot of land, right? But instead of working with the little you have and then gradually progressing to, where you'd like to be. So I would just say
Oh yeah.
embracing, vulnerability is really crucial. But when I started personally sharing my fears and doubts with my network, now not downplaying, the fact that I am a thought leader in my field and an expert in my field, but my fears, I'm talking about uh all this imposter syndrome,
Oh yeah.
and doubts.
Yeah.
Basically, when I started doing that, it showed them my human side.
That's
It
right.
showed them that I bleed too.
Oh yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
some superhero that like Superman that flies in the air or Wonder Woman. No, I'm just a human. I face the same challenges you do, and in
Yeah.
turn, I got a lot of valuable support, and this taught me the importance of authentic connection in business. So, founders need to prioritize building genuine relationships with their audience, their team and their mentors, because it's a revolving cycle. You need your audience to buy from you. You need your team to be part of your vision and your mission. And you need your mentors also to guide you. And if you're not vulnerable enough, if you're not authentic, then how can you move to the next level? So, that's just one of the many things I'd share with a lesson I could share with founders. Thank you.
That's nice. Oh my God. Yeah. I love the way this is going. It's just going really great.
Thank
Yeah, so let's talk about, specific challenges. I mean, if you might want to add, because when I ask you one question, you tend
you. Okay.
to answer a lot more. That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. So yeah,
Yeah.
I know you a little bit talked about a few challenges,
Yes.
and stuff
Yes.
like that,
Yes.
but if you might want to, probably go off,
Speak
talking
more.
about that again, and maybe I should add this other question to it. I'd also love to learn about, some talk about your personal challenges, then let's talk about tech founders. I mean, you've been
Okay.
in the industry, you've worked with different,
Mhm.
industry experts from different
Mhm.
fields. So you've
Mhm.
learned about a whole lot. So share
Mhm.
with us what common challenges, tech founders actually face
So
when
far.
connecting with their audience and how they can, overcome that.
Okay. Okay. So so for the first question, which I'd already touched on a bit, but I'll just put one or two more things to it. So basically, for me, I would say challenges, self doubt, and imposter syndrome, as I mentioned before, and I won't tell you that I totally overcame it. Like I never, okay, like glory, I never ever experienced self-doubt or
Oh yeah.
imposter syndrome. It still comes. I
Yeah.
mean, I still experience it yesterday when I went for an occasion to speak to people living with disabilities. They call them PWD, and I was asked to speak to them physically. And when I was so pumped up and ready, and then I was given the microphone, and I noticed that my hand was shaking, because all of a sudden I was like, what am I going to say? How do I communicate what I need to? So yes, people go through this. No matter how perfect you are, I'm sure at some point in time you may have felt, a level of self-doubt and imposter syndrome, which was what I was going through. But this is what I do. I focus on delivering value. I make sure at the back of my mind, my thought process is value. I need to deliver value to my clients. And I also, for the imposter syndrome, I celebrate my small wins. I don't focus on anybody else. I focus on myself. I'm not in competition with anyone. So I remind myself when I start doubting myself or having imposter syndrome, I say, look, Ish, you're not racing with anyone. You're not competing with anyone. You are going on your own journey. So I instinctively start reminding myself, you're able to do this for Fisayo. You're able to do this for Josh. You're able to do this for Sarah. You're able to do this for Clara. And then I find myself breathing, and of course, supporting
Yeah.
yourself with a supportive, support system,
Yeah.
peers, mentors. But you have to be careful there so you don't have people that keep downplaying you every time,
That's
and
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I share my personal stories now more. Like I said, not anything personal, not like,
Yeah.
oh, or the other day I got a dirty slap while I was walking on the road and I really cried and cried. No, they don't need to
Mm-hmm.
hear things like that.
Yeah.
More like professional, stories, like what led me to become a founder, what
That's
led me
right.
to storytelling, so I
Yeah.
do all that, and instinctively, before I even drop the real value, I see the shift in the audience, because they see my vulnerability, they see my
That's right.
authenticity, and they connect with my story.
Yeah.
And time after time, I see that there are breakthrough conversations. People now want to, reach out. And after the topics, you see, I still see people saying, Dr. Ish, can I speak with you? Can I speak with you? So basically, that's just how I recommend also for others to always remember your small wins. And whatever you think is a small win is a big win to someone else. So really, we need to be in touch with that.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's
So
such, yeah, go for
no,
it.
no, I'm listening. Sorry,
Okay, I
sorry, I'm
was gonna
listening.
say it's such a competitive market,
Yes,
So I
just
was
absolutely.
gonna learn from you, what strategies would you recommend for improving client retention and engagement?
Okay, so for client retention and engagement now, there are several things that one can do, but just so that I don't just so that it's easy. There are quite a number, but just so the ones that are like of kind of easy for people to follow up.
Oh yeah.
So when it comes to client retention, and you mentioned engagement, right? So
Yeah.
engagement, first of all, you have to be able to discover. First thing is even identifying your niche.
Okay.
Who are you called to? What were you called for? Right?
Yeah.
Once you can identify who you are called to and what you are called for, which still boils down to problems and pain points of your target audience, then you fine tune the strategy you are going to use to deliver the results you tell them you can give. Now, to make it simple, you do not need to get 10 different problems or 20 different problems. One problem is fine. Start with one problem. That may be a bit difficult for people that are multi-talented, but if you can hone it down to one problem, for instance, I do HR, I do sales, I do marketing, I do business strategy, I build systems and processes for startup. However, I narrowed it down to storytelling first as the
Okay.
first point of call before moving into other things. So it's like jack of all trades, master of none, kind of. So you
Oh
narrow it
yeah.
down to one thing, get the pain points, get the solution. That's the first thing you use in attracting your clients. In between all that, your engagement cycle has already started because there will be communication process going on, and feedback. As you're getting the feedback, you're refining your processes, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to retention, once you've signed up more than 1, 2, 3 clients, ensure, see, it's all about relationship. You have to listen more than you speak. When you are
Okay.
listening to your client's feedback, you will hear the things they are saying and the things they are not saying.
Absolutely.
Because there are some problems clients are aware of, and there are some problems your clients are not even aware they have a problem.
Yeah.
You understand? So it is
Yeah.
your job as a creative, a strategist, or founder, whatever it is you are into, to listen to what is being said and not said. And in all that, when your client feels, wow, he gets me, he understands my pain, instinctively they become loyal to you and your brand and find it easier to communicate their pain to you. And you find you find out that you are able to sell to them again and again and again and again. So that's like what I would give as a solution for that. And which brings us to the common challenges tech founders face when trying to connect with their audience. I believe you asked that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think for me, my personal observation here with the people I've worked with, uh, initially it was such a big struggle working with tech founders because I would say about 50% of them struggle to articulate their value proposition in a way that resonates, especially for the writing aspects and the pitching. When someone to pitch for grants or some form of funding or financial aid, they focus so much on the features rather than the benefits. It's like they just want to get done with it and move on. They don't understand that if you are a virtual assistant, executive assistant, there is the business of being a virtual assistant, even if you have the skill of being a virtual assistant. If you are a tech founder, there is the business of being a tech founder, even if you have the skill. The skill is different from the business. And that is why you see some people that have skills still failing even with the skills because they do not understand the business. And
That's
the
right.
business demands that you must be able to articulate your value proposition, which we also call your USP, which is your unique selling proposition. That's one thing, two, three, four, five, as many as you have, at least one, to differentiate you from your competitors. So this differentiation positions you as a thought leader and an authority in your field and as the number one person every client should be searching for. All right. So it's basically you've been able to shift focus to the customer's pain points and desires. Yeah.
Awesome. That's really great. You know what? While you were speaking, you talked about lots of beautiful things, but then you talked about being able to listen more than you speak. And
Mm-hmm.
whilst you were talking about that, I just remembered, I thought about Elon Musk, something actually amazing that happened. I saw this video where he was speaking with, a supposed customer, definitely
Mm-hmm.
customer, and while he was speaking with that person, about SpaceX, he actually has lots of companies. Then the
Mm-hmm.
person, dropped a thought concerning how they actually built something, and it was contrary to the way it was done at the time. And
Mm-hmm.
immediately he said, you know what, we could actually work on that. He took
Mm.
feedback right, in real time, and
Yes.
took action immediately afterwards. So when you talked about that, I was like, absolutely, yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's about being observant, basically. So if you're speaking more than the clients, you're going to miss out on a lot of information that you need.
Yeah. All right. So
Mhm.
let's learn about, startups. They come up with products and they scale. So I want to learn about how can founders maintain their unique vision and culture during periods of growth, as they scale.
Okay. So maintaining that unique vision and culture. Yeah. Um, you know, Scaling comes with its good sides and its bad sides because initially when most businesses start, they're all about the vision, the mission, the values, And then as time goes on and as they progress and grow, they throw the vision, the mission, and the values and are focused on profitability. Now, I'm not saying that a business shouldn't be, shouldn't be concerned about that. But just to answer the question directly, I would say, as a founder, document your core values and vision. Many solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, founders seem not to have the ability to document that. So I would explain. You see, big organizations, there's some, well, maybe in my own experience, companies I've worked with, they're big on their vision and mission. We are practically forced to recite it every day, talk about it every day, ingrain it in our blood till it's a part of our core being, right? Because when you work in an organization, you have to be in tune with the values. All right. So that means if I'm working in, say, a Microsoft, for instance, their values and my values has to align for either party to be what would be the word, fulfilled. So just document your core values and vision, communicate them clearly to your new hires and of course your stakeholders. Encourage open feedback channels and empower your team members to make decisions aligned with your vision. So the first thing is effective communication of your values and your vision. What is allowed, what is not allowed. And I think that's the basic way it can happen. It has to be like part of the onboarding process for the new hires. So once they are coming in, you are ensuring that they align with the values and vision. So anybody coming in, it becomes a culture in that company. So let's say, for instance, there's a culture that every Fridays nobody sits on the chair, everybody stands up to work. Ideally, if you're employing anyone into your company, you would explain the reason why, not just to pour it down on their neck as a policy. You explain why, how it benefits them and how it benefits the organization. Once they have that understanding, instinctively, it's something they would do without sanctions or threats or anybody holding anybody's throat and all that. So yes, first step is effective communication, not just communication, effective communication with adequate feedback to new hires and stakeholders. And of course, encourage feedback on several channels and empower your team. You must empower your team as well so that they don't feel they're working in a prison. So that's just it in brief.
Yeah, awesome. In answering that, you talked a lot about effective communication, and that's really great. Thank you. I
Yeah.
want to learn from you what, in today's day and age, if you don't talk about the emerging technologies, and stuff like that, like AI, for instance, it's like, hey, when are you going to talk about it? So I want to learn from you about the emerging tech trends that you think founders should pay attention to in, in the next few years.
Wow. Okay, from my own observation and of course with the clients that I usually work with, I would say emerging trends, AI, number one, that's artificial intelligence, sustainability, social impacts. I think those three are really gaining traction. There are quite a number of them, but AI is at the forefront. I mean, I'm talking about the chat GPTs and every other thing that it can do. It's made life quicker and faster for everyone. Though some people are still scared that it's the Antichrist, it's going to take our jobs, it's going to take over our lives. But and I'm sorry to say I was part of that before, but now I'm not sure I can even survive so long without AI. It helps me make life so easy on so many fronts. Yes, so AI, sustainability, social impact are gaining traction. Basically, one just needs to stay informed, attend webinars. So many webinars coming up. They're like, LinkedIn, for instance, they're like webinars and audio events that come up in the thousands daily. It's a place, a platform where you can gain so much knowledge. Then explore potential applications for your business, basically collaborations with other people. Those are the kind of things now that are emerging. So much of collaborations going on as well.
Awesome. All right. So I've got a question that I think everyone's looking forward to, you answering that. But just before I ask you that, I want to learn from you about, the exciting projects you've got in your path right now, the goals you have on the horizon. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I'd love to learn about that. Probably you're looking forward to building the next big thing that's probably bigger than ChatGPT. I don't know. Tell me.
Wow. Well, I mean, everybody wants to build the next big thing. I mean,
Oh
that's a
yeah.
very good thought to have. For me, if I'm looking at exciting projects or goals, so I'm developing a storytelling accelerator program
Awesome.
for underrepresented founders. I recently added apart from founders, I recently added coaches, mid and senior level executives, professionals. So, founders and CEOs kind of are like people that own their own establishments. So, I now added mid and senior level executive professionals who are working for, kind of 5, 8, figure companies and all that. So underrepresented in the sense that I find that a lot of founders and CEOs, I'm not sure, quite a number don't even have social media presence. I guess maybe there's some sort of phobia for social media. I mean, especially for the baby boomers and the millennials, they sort of think that social media is just for the Gen Zs only, which is a really weird thought. Right now, brand positioning is the in thing. No matter what you succeeded in life doing, it's just like me telling people I have 21 years, 22 years experience in this. Okay, so where is the evidence? Where are you positioned? How do we know what we can do? You're just saying it. So we need somewhere, you know, uh, showcasing these things more like an evidence, because there's the chaotic factor. People must know you, they must like you, and they must trust you before they can buy from you. So no one is just going to jump in and like you straight away and buy from you. No, they must know who you are, what you stand for, like I said, your values, right? So this accelerator program will be for founders, CEOs, senior executives, mid-level executives, to position them properly on LinkedIn. I'm also launching, hopefully, a podcast exploring the intersection of technology and storytelling, if I can. But that's not like no, 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 no.
Okay.
Then I'm also setting up my virtual remote agency. That is like what I'm going to be launching in January, by God's grace. That is going to be so I'm going to be helping companies get remote workers, virtual assistants, executive assistants, lawyers, accountants, nurses, doctors, entirely remote. Yes. So those are what I have in the horizon for now.
That's awesome. Well, I follow you on LinkedIn, so I'm gonna just be on your radar, looking out for the next big thing you've got. And
Thank
of
you.
course,
Thank you very
you,
much.
my pleasure. Of course, I'm gonna put in the description a link to your LinkedIn so people can follow you and connect with
I
you.
would appreciate that. I would appreciate that, Joe. I had an amazing time. I was a bit jittery when we were going to have this. I said, oh my God, this is my first podcast, actually. So
Oh
it's
yeah?
really, really, yes, exciting. Very amazing way to end the year, really.
Oh wow, thank you so much for, doing this
Thank you.
with me. I do actually have one more question for you. I want to know what's one piece of advice you'd give to someone just starting their journey, as a tech founder.
Hmm, hmm. That's a deep one.
Okay.
Okay, so I'd say validate your idea with real customers, real people, because it's your business. The people, it's human beings that are going to buy from you, right?
Yeah.
So you're not just going to assume that um this business or this idea or this prototype is going to be a hit immediately. So you need to validate with real customers, get a few people, find out what their pain points are, or if your product can attend to certain pain points. If you're not sure of the pain point, just validate with real people. I mean, 5, 10, and focus on solving a genuine problem. Now, it doesn't have to be a new problem. It could be an existing problem, but your approach, is kind of going to be different. So, and be open to feedback. So surround yourself with mentors and peers who will not just support you, but challenge you so that you don't become complacent and you keep evolving as the need arises. Yes. So that's what I'll just drop as an advice. Validate, validate, validate.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that. And I do want to say thank you to you for
Thank you,
coming
Josh.
on here, doing this with me, and sharing with our audience your knowledge and insights, your story. It's been absolutely wonderful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I enjoyed it. Mhm.
My pleasure. All right, so yeah, are you subscribed to all my YouTube channels?
I'm definitely going to do that now.
Okay,
My
cool.
apologies.
That's totally
I'll do all
fine.
that.
Do you want
Yes.
to tell our audience to like and subscribe?
Oh, yes. I'm usually very slow to do that, but since you've
Hmm.
given me the go ahead. So, yes, as usual, my name is Dr. Ish, Chief Storyteller, Business Strategist. So I'd like you to like and subscribe. LinkedIn is where I'm really, really, really like I have my major presence on. All you need to do is to search for Dr. Ishioma Elora Onah and connect with me. And if you have any questions, I mean, relating to what we've just talked about or any other area you think I can help your business, feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, thank you for joining us today. You might want to check out this other episode.